If you enjoy movies with a lot of plot twists or just a roller coaster of emotions, I'd suggest becoming a Seattle Seahawks fan because in the large scope of things, so much has happened. They had the Legion of Boom, a Super Bowl win, and then a Super Bowl where they're 1 yard away from winning. Defense breaks up. We see the emergence of Russell Wilson, who went from a very good quarterback to one of the best in the league, and just last year on a runaway MVP season, just kind of fizzled out and led to a very choppy offseason. Russ and his team made public how disgruntled they were with the team for the lack of effort trying to protect him and overall have a winning team. They gave a list of teams that would like to be traded to, and I thought Russell's time in Seattle was as good as gone. But they've made up, Russ is in Seattle, the band is back together, and Seahawks fans can take a deep breath. But not for long, because there is a season coming up and it feels like the Seahawks have been contenders for a better part of a decade now, but we need to look at everything this year. The players they gained and lost, where they stand in their own division and conference, what should we expect from the Seahawks this year? Or a better question, is this a season where the Seahawks are contenders or pretenders? And to answer this question, I believe they are pretenders this year, but stick with me, we're going to have to unpack everything within the next 5 minutes. The first thing I kind of want to put to bed is something I built up. I don't think there's going to be any bad blood between the two, Russell Wilson or Pete Carroll. Knowing who Russ is as a guy and Pete Carroll's a coach, everyone is very respectful. In the end of the day, it's a business. I'm sure Russ will apologize to his linemen, buy him something nice with his fat contract he has. So I don't want to overreact to that because I don't think it's going to be an issue. What I will overreact to is something that started last year. Let Russ cook. I absolutely hated this, and not because it was giving Russell Wilson praise. I love that aspect of it, but it was glorifying the very obvious problems the Seahawks had. Due to injuries, they were really light on running backs, but the main problem was their offensive line. They couldn't move the line up front in the run game. They allowed 47 sacks last year, second most in the NFL, and he was pressured 38% of his passes. And Russ is a mobile guy too, so he avoided a ton of sacks that would have been even more. So the idea that Russell was upset was completely understandable. He was running for his life. He had to throw for 3 to 5 touchdowns and over 300 yards if they wanted a chance to win, and sometimes that wasn't even enough. He got hit consistently, in the lack of run game and bad offensive line was something he looked around the league and saw other elite quarterbacks not having to deal with, like Brady and Rodgers. This is why I never believed the Seahawks were contenders last year, even though they won their division with a very impressive 12-4 record, and they were able to lose to a Rams team with an unhealthy Jared Goff because they ran into such a good defense that could get pressure through and hold up with the coverage on the back end. And just like Seattle's defense last year was on par to be just as bad as the Cowboys, they did make some changes schematically, brought in a few new guys like Jamal Adams, some more defensive linemen, and really turned around to be a more formidable defense with some star players. We'll get back to the defense later because you need both sides of the ball to be contenders nowadays, but let's see what they did offensively to fix the holes that they had in 2020. With their first pick in the draft, they went out and got a speedy wide receiver out of Western Michigan, Dwayne Eskridge, who ran a 4.3 840. Okay, not an offensive lineman, but I think Russ is going to have a blast throwing to him, DK, Tyler Lockett, and Russ throws the prettiest deep ball I've ever seen, so this pick should scare a lot of teams. But unfortunately, we need to start talking about the offensive line because this was the main problem from last year, and they're going to have 4 of the 5 starters from the year before. They didn't address the main issue that caused the let Russ cook hype even to begin. They re-signed Chris Carson, but sometimes really good running backs can be wasted behind bad offensive lines. Russ is that dude, but when we talk about contending teams, the team as a whole has to be very solid. They have elite talent at quarterback and wide receiver, but I see a struggling offensive line and bottom of the half of the league in defense. I don't like their matchup with almost every team in their own division. The Rams are by far a better overall team. The Niners have a stout defense and a great run game, and the Cardinals, I see them having some very, very close games, and the Cardinals made some huge pushes in the offseason just to make themselves better. And in their own conference, there are teams with top 10 defenses and O-lines like the Bucks, the Saints, and the Packers. And in the AFC, we have teams like the Patriots, the Browns, Ravens, and Colts, all teams that have a lot fewer weaknesses. So even though I love Russ and I think he's a top 5 quarterback in this league, I don't see any way the Seahawks win it all this year. And for that reason, that is why I think the Seahawks are pretenders. And they really shouldn't be. They have a great coach. They're in a win now window, and the moves they made aren't fixing the problems that they had last year. And I think that 12-4 record was actually disguised by how well Russ played, but I think they're going to get exposed a lot more this year. But let me know what you guys think. Honestly, I was making this video and I wanted to talk about why the Seahawks could win it all this year. That was my intention going in the video. I thought it was going to be super awesome. But as I was watching film, breaking down some games of why they won, why they lost, looking at their roster and everything, a very different story started to unfold, and it just made me think that, yeah, there's no way it's this year. And I mean, I don't want to say I wanted Russ out of there, but I think they're just not, he's not in a good enough situation in Seattle right now to win it all this year. I think a lot of their problems Russell Wilson fixes because he is so good, but that's not how you win Super Bowls. That's not how you win it. And I really didn't love the Seattle Seahawks offseason. And in the draft, they only had 3 picks because they traded all their picks away to get people like Jamal Adams and I forgot who else off the top of my head. But okay, but let me know what you guys think. Make sure to like the video if you like videos like these. Make sure to comment down below what you think of the Seahawks this year, what their record's going to be, and if they make the playoffs, how far along do you think they're going to go? Let me know down, and make sure to subscribe if you enjoy daily sports content. Thank you guys so much. Your support has been so amazing recently. I really appreciate you guys. I hope you know that, and I will see you all tomorrow. Peace.